Welcome. Good morning, good day, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely as always to be with you. Okay, I'll just go through the announcements real quick. So we have a wonderful opportunity to join on retreat to deepen and awaken together. May 12th through the 14th. That's a weekend and coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I hope you can join for that. And another opportunity to meet in person at the Kripalu Yoga Center in Massachusetts, July 16th through the 21st. So it'd be wonderful if you could come to both. You could come to both. Okay. So we're going to continue with our chakra series. And this week, we're speaking about the throat chakra. And so the throat chakra is incredibly pivotal in relationship to Kundalini awakening. The throat chakra is where the Kundalini tends to get bottlenecked. And when it gets bottlenecked, like it's flowing up through the body. And as it comes into the throat, the throat is a center where, people tend to have lots of kriyas, lots of movements, lots of head shaking. The reason is, again, all this energy is flowing up the spine and it's having to pass through a gateway. Now, most of us, we begin to connect, like consciously connect to our throat chakra when we're little kids and when we do something wrong. And mommy or daddy or the teacher, maybe it's the teacher, and you did something wrong and she's asking you if you did it in front of the whole class. And we make this choice. Am I going to tell the truth or am I going to, tell a lie? And normally a lot of us, because we're scared, we kind of lie and swallow and make this gulping sound in our throat where we're trying to repress the truth from coming forward. And this is when we learn about survival and safety and trust, perceived safety and trust and faith. As a child, like, do I have faith that if I speak the truth, that it will be okay, that I'm strong enough to receive the consequences? Sometimes I can remember as a kid, we all did something wrong, but like I would tell the truth. And because I told the truth, I got off the hook, but the others who lied, then they were punished. And it's like sometimes, like the teacher, the parents will play a mind game with you, but this is a mind game in supporting the truth. But the thing with the throat chakra is it's your survival mechanism, your egoic nature trying to outsmart the world. And whether it's the people of power in your world or outsmart God, or often there's this feeling, like an egoic feeling in the throat chakra, on its lowest level, is I am an isolated human being in a vulnerable human form. And so I need to do whatever I need to do in order to survive. And so if that means lying, cheating, stealing, or, another word that I like instead of using lying is a form of camouflaging. So it's a way we camouflage ourselves from getting hit, from getting eaten, from being seen, from, there was probably, individuals who were Jews, back in the 40s in Nazi Germany, and they might've said, I'm a Christian, and that saved them. That saved them. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing when we align with our ego. But, like all of us on the spiritual path, there's times when we have to make a choice. And so our egoic mind knows this, that sometimes we can be really hurt. And so we contract in our throat chakra and we ignore the truth of our heart or the truth of our belly. And we hide out in a survival mind aspect of our being. Now, in relationship to Kundalini, what Kundalini is wanting, of course, is for your throat chakra to be open, for your life to be an expression of truth. Now, most of us, when our throat chakra begins to open, what happens is there is this rush of repressed energy and emotion, pain from the past. Everything that was repressed, when our throat chakra begins to open, these things start to come forward. And again, like, I'll give an example from my life. As a little boy, I grew up in a military family. I was taught that, like, I shouldn't cry publicly. I shouldn't raise my voice. I shouldn't speak freely. There's times I was told, shut up, or I gave you something to cry about. When I look back, it's hilarious. But as a child, it's terrifying. It's terrifying to have an adult, a big scary father or whoever it was, a teacher, a coach, an older brother, to speak to us in this way. And so we learn to shut up. We learn to repress. We keep these things hidden. To use Freudian language, like Freud sees like this, we have this unconscious nature. And if you open your throat chakra, that's a superego. If we allow the superego to open and to relax, there's going to be this rush of dangerous thoughts and actions and overwhelming fears and old grievances and tears, and basically we'll be a hot mess in one form or another. And so from a survival place, the throat chakra says, I'm just going to keep everything under control, under wraps. I'm going to be the dictator in the room of all the other 7 chakra, all the other, the 6 other chakra centers. I'm going to be the dictator of them. I'm going to tell them all to shut up and that I'm in charge. And it says this from a place of fear. Now, again, what Kundalini is wanting is to burst that door open so that everything was repressed can come forward, be seen, be released and healed, be seen, be met with love, be healed, released, be surrendered, be given back to God. And in order for that to happen, we have to trust. Now, sometimes with Kundalini is, well, it's an impatient form of divine awakening. And by that, I mean, it comes with pressure, it comes with heat, it comes with intensity. Like sometimes it comes like, the Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, they're just going to come, they're going to knock that door down. They're going to blow all the walls, of the building open. And they want all the energies to come out, all to flow out. This is what Kundalini is wanting, is to knock the doors down so it can flow through you. Now, if we get a little bit more specific with the throat chakra in its lowest sense, is this super controlling aspect of our ego. In its highest sense, it's a doorway, a gateway between the clarity of the mind and the beauty of the heart, the compassion of the heart, the Buddha nature of the belly. When the throat chakra is closed, we have parts within us. Like many of us have done parts works, like family systems therapy type of work, where we're talking to the different parts of ourself, and so we're gently opening the door. We might start to talk to the different parts of the self. But when the throat's closed, when the chakras are closed, we have all this division within us. The ego is split up, and the psyche is split up, our humanity is split up into all these different voices within. When the throat is fully open and healed, there's only one self. That's the self of the inner Christ, or of Buddha nature. And that's what Kundalini is inviting. Now, if we take this step even further, the throat chakra can fully open, and it can be a portal to divine realms, to divine grace. Now, this is one of the things that happens on retreat, is when we meet together in retreat, or we meet together in satsang, even as we meet together now, like I start channeling, start transmitting, so I open my throat and see what comes. I actually wrote down a couple things to say, and I didn't get to any of them yet. This thing just started to take over. It starts to flow through you, and I start to feel grace. I hope you can as well. And I'm going to tell you a fun story about a friend of mine who I'm going to be pretty harsh with her. She's an alcoholic. Like she's like a lot of times like drunk in the day when I see her, in the morning when I see her, and I don't know if, like, what's going on. It's like she works at a bar and this and that. But she's also in the church choir. And so I'll show up to mass and, like I'll look at her and she'll be looking rough and this and that. But then, she goes up and to sing before the church, she opens her throat and these angels sing through her. And it is so touching to me because she is, bring tears to my eyes. She's such a bright light. She's such a, and you can see like my throat chakras, just is shifting from a place of judgment into a place of just this openness where I have such love and respect for her. And I bow before her. Because when she sings, it brings tears to my eyes. Like she brings a choir of angels with her. And so sometimes through grace, we can open our throat chakra and it can move mountains. But then as a human being, we can go back to our old nasty habits or our old confused habits or whatever they are. And this is the beautiful thing about any of the chakra centers, is they can open and, there could be this moment of grace, and then we can go back to our normal everyday self. Now, in the path of Kundalini awakening, Kundalini wants to open all the centers, clear them all out, and establish a permanent residency of light, of love, of holiness. That's the work of Kundalini. It's the most embodied of the divine awakenings. And so it's wanting to take up, permanent residence within you. And so, with our throat chakra, it is such an interesting center. Like if we look at it, like the power of it is when you connect consciously to your power of choice and your power of intention. So most people think of the throat chakra center having to do with expression, which of course it absolutely does have to do with expression. But in order for us to express the truth, for us to express our calling, our true calling, for us to be in alignment, first we have to be conscious, and we have to be conscious like here with intention, a clarity, like a here-ness, a directness. Sometimes people on the spiritual path, myself included, we can be consciously spacious and open and peaceful, but we're kind of floating and we're not really here. I mean, we're kind of in heaven. We might have a toe on planet Earth, but the majority of us isn't here. And it's like, what is my life about? My life is about peace and emptiness. But with the throat chakra, like the power in the throat is this choice and it's this intentionality. It's a consciousness that's here on planet Earth. Just I'm choosing to live in alignment. I'm choosing to take charge of my day. I'm choosing not to allow my ego to direct me. Rather, I'm choosing to allow my heart to direct me, the truth to direct me. In fact, I'm even going to become very clear, crystal clear about what my life is about. And so if we struggle with addiction, it's I'm choosing not to be a drinker or a smoker, whatever it is. I'm choosing to be a healthy person who's here on planet Earth, to have a clear mind, an open heart, grounded and empowered. I'm choosing, not to fear my boss or my partner or my children or whatever it is. And so sometimes it takes on a real directness, like a laser-like precision of choosing to face something. Like some of us, like we have real issues with certain fears. And when the throat chakra starts, the power of it is you coming online and saying, I'm choosing to face this fear. I'm choosing, most of us do this, or many of us do this at the new year. I'm choosing become physically fit. It's like I'm choosing to start to work out again. I'm choosing to take charge of my health. I'm choosing to look again at this chronic fatigue that I have, or the shadow that I have, and see, is there another way to see? Is there something I'm missing here? I'm choosing to retrieve all the different parts of my soul, all the different parts of my psyche. And so this power of choice really comes online as the throat chakra opens. And again, a lot of spiritual people are what I call floaters. Just kind of hang out, float in some realm of spaciousness. And we're not really here. We're not really acting. And this is why, again, I say this often, that, that there's these very heavy forces that rule our world, because spiritual people haven't taken charge of the planet. We keep, giving our power away to government officials, because we don't want to do the work. And they want to do the work, but the work they want to do is often filling their pocketbooks and them being empowered and them, flattering their narcissistic egos or whatever. So, I'm giving another, example, just like the throat chakra. When the throat chakra is unconscious, like sometimes I have these two little puff balls, Doodles and Buster, and every day I feed them way too many treats. And when I'm feeding them treats, often, they'll take turns and I'll give one to each, but, sometimes one of the treats will bounce off Doodle's nose, and Buster will go in there real quick and try to get it, before Doodles, because he's a little slower, can get it. And so when the throat chakra is closed, we tend to be unconscious. We're in our fight or flight nature. It's me against the world. I'm a victim, and so I got to, fight for my survival, this type of thinking. But there's another time in the day when I feed them kind of like a bigger meal in their bowl. Sometimes I give them some scraps from our dinner, or make them a little something, like I made the guys an egg today. And like I'll put, half the egg in Doodle's bowl and half the egg in Buster's bowl. And sometimes both of them just, kind of look at the food. And then Doodles will kind of step back and walk out of the way. And he'll let Buster decide which of the two eggs, that he wants to eat. And then Buster might eat a little bit. And then Doodles comes and eats a little bit. And they share. They share. And so there's a beauty that occurs when our throat opens. Our heart comes online. And we start to see the world in a different way. We see that there's room and there's space for me to be me here on planet Earth. There's plenty, there's abundance. And to me, it's this beautiful thing when I see my two dogs sharing, instead of acting like they're starved to death and they have to steal the treat from the other one. And so it's sweet to see, like at different times of the day, like they'll be in a different state of consciousness. And the power of your throat chakra is you choose. And so sometimes we're angry and we choose to work with our anger. And sometimes we just choose, you know what? I've been angry enough today. I've been angry enough at this person. I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing to be happy. Whether I have lots of money in the bank or $0, I'm choosing to be happy. And there's power in it. There's power in it. And again, one of the beautiful things that happens is when the throat chakra opens, it really gives ourself, our path, or our humanity an opportunity to heal, for all the parts to be unified. When the throat chakra is closed, the parts feel separate, isolated, and alone, and there's often in-house fighting. Sometimes we have the inner lawyer fighting with the inner judge. And we have the inner politician arguing with the righteous religious zealot inside. Sometimes it's the inner child arguing with the internalized voice of our parents. When the throat opens, the Kundalini can flow into it. And there can be this energy of purification that can bring all the voices to the same table for them to be met with love and for them to be healed into a state of Buddha nature. Okay. Some good questions, like some higher questions for the throat chakra is, what is the truth? What is my truth? What is my truth for my life? What are my must-haves in life? Like, what is my calling? What type of relationship do I want to be in? What type of spiritual path do I want to be on? And more specific, it's like, what's here in me right now that needs to be met with love? What's here in my life right now that needs to be met with compassion and kindness? What's here that needs to be integrated? Or we could ask, what are some things I need to do to change? Or to support change, to support growth, to support my own evolution? What are some things I need to do to change? Like, what could I change? What are some steps I need to make? What are some steps I need to make? And do I have, or what unfinished business is floating around in me that I need to face? That I need to face. So these are important questions to ask and to really look at. You know, like in this real broad sense, like, what is my truth? What is my calling? What's my next step on the path? You know, like the real higher vibrational steps, and then some more healing steps. Like, what unfinished business do I have? What do I keep tripping over, like in my shadow? And am I willing to look down and see what that thing is in my shadow? Can I bring a conscious awareness to it? And both are necessary. We need the broad vision of the throat chakra. If you do like the bigger callings of what your path is, what your life is about, what your vocation is going to be, your calling, your must-haves. But then we also have to be willing to do the more heavier work, the difficult work of what's in my shadow, what addictions do I have? Or do I give my power away? To very consciously look at these questions, look at our behaviors, and then choose intentionally to change, to align with our highest nature, to let go of the things that are no longer serving us. That's another throat chakra question, is like, who do I need to forgive? And so the beautiful thing about the throat is more like this big open doorway. It opens you into the wisdom of the heart, the clarity of the mind. It connects all the chakras together when the throat is open. When the throat is closed, again, especially with Kundalini, we're going to have lots of kriyas, and it's going to be trying to open that center up. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's going to want to really clear out the past. And of course, like if kriyas are moving, the throat isn't all the way closed. It is a little closed. It's running into some bumpiness in this area. And often that has to do with like the demanding voice of the superego and the critic, the shadow side of the throat chakra. As it runs into the Kundalini, there's kind of there's a lot of bumpiness in there, and that creates a lot of those kriya energies and the head moving and bouncing and this turning and the eyes squinting and all that kind of stuff. We've spoken about that a lot in the past. And so the idea is we're breathing, we're feeling, we're opening. We're listening to the truth of our heart and allowing it to guide us, and consciously choosing in the throat chakra to live in alignment with the guidance of the heart. And also to live in alignment with divine guidance, because often through the throat, it's this energy of prayer, this energy of invocation, where we're calling forth the energies of grace and divinity into our life. Into our life. So ultimately, Kundalini wants you to be a divine channel here on planet Earth. You don't have to be a channel rolling your eyes back, talking about the Pleiadian dynasty coming to save us all. You know, you can be a channel of whatever it is that's true, that wants to flow through you, that wants to flow through your consciousness, you specifically and uniquely you. Okay.